Hey, and welcome back. I'm on this little walk, and a topic that interests me a lot, that kind of is like peculiar to me, is how, well, actually, let me preface. So, I grew up in the country, not super far out there, but somewhat away from like a big city. So, I'm like used to being connected to nature, being able to just walk outside and have land to myself, I guess, or at least somewhat secluded, right? And now I am an adult, so I don't live with my family anymore, of course, and I live in an apartment complex, and I have for a few years. And it's just such an interesting perspective for me because I think about how some people, I just stepped in water. I think about how some people have always lived in the city, or they've always lived in apartment complexes or suburbs, and it's just so peculiar to me to think about how in our culture in the US especially, how we're living in these apartment complexes, right? Surrounded by hundreds of people. And most of the time we don't even know our neighbor's name. We don't know who our neighbors are. We've never spoke to them. And we live in a community, right? With hundreds of people. I just feel like that's such a crazy concept to me. Living in the country, I didn't have too many neighbors, but we knew our neighbors, you know? And I don't know, it just seems like such a peculiar way to live. And the busyness of it all has really affected me in ways that are like subconscious, I think. So it's just a really interesting perspective for me, and that I'm like becoming more aware of as I get older. And as I spend more time in the city, I'm like becoming more aware of that. Anyways, I want to take a little break because I'm on my little walk, and there's this beautiful little spot where there's a bunch of greenery and trees, and it's raining today, so it's beautiful. There's little tweets. I think it's really interesting the way that our society works and the way that we're living. And I don't think it's very sustainable. I really don't. I think it just makes more sense to live in a community. I think it's a crazy concept that, you know, there's that saying, oh, it takes a village to raise a child, but we don't have any more villages. You know, like it would make so much more sense to live in communities and to be working together and growing food together and helping each other out and bartering and trading, instead of working 40 hours a week and having somebody else raise your child and having 2 hours at the end of your day to take care of yourself before you have to go to sleep and do it all over again. And a lot of the times those few hours are consumed by the chores that you are doing in the time that you can't because you're at work. So I think that's just crazy to me. Just the way that the society's built. And maybe, you know, I'd be interested to hear y'all's point of view in the comments if you have grown up in the city and this is something that might be normal to you and you've never kind of thought otherwise. Or if you grew up in the country like me and you agree, you know. I'd love to like converse with people about that. But yeah, it's funny because I think through like pop culture and stuff, when I was younger, I always thought, oh, like, I can't wait to go live in the city and be a city girl and be a businesswoman and like do all the city things. Like there's so much opportunity. And although some of that is true, there is definitely opportunity for growth and building a business and doing this or that. Now that I've been in the city for multiple years, that dream is a lie. It's a lie. now all I long for is like just creating and being in nature and taking the time to like listen to the trees and hear the birds. That's when I'm most at peace, is when I'm sitting in nature. And it's cool too, because that's where I like first learned to sing. That's why I first started to sing. If y'all aren't aware, I'm a singer. I teach kids how to sing actually too. And that's where I first found my love for music, is just singing to the trees and singing my cute little songs that I would make up when I was a kid. So, yeah, nature has a really big place in my heart. It's so cool. There's like this little cove, like a little cove of nature outside of my apartment complex. Like there's a bunch of apartments, but there's this cute little cove of greenery. And I used to live in Fort Worth, the Fort Worth area, and I lived in like an apartment. It's kind of crazy. It was like so beautiful, such a beautiful apartment. Had great amenities. Everything was really beautiful and cute and nice. But it was like almost like a cute little apartment complex smack in the middle of the dirt, in the middle of nowhere, you know? And then it was like, there was a little, like a small city. Oh my gosh. Sorry, a raindrop just like kind of attacked my eyeball. It was always like super congested. So there'd be like a bunch of like shopping, and then, so essentially it's like my cute little apartment, drive 10 minutes, a bunch of shopping, and then drive 30 more minutes, and then there's Fort Worth. So I don't know, it was just like an interesting way of life. And an interesting period of my life too. I was like super happy that, oh my gosh, I have a cute apartment, and you know, I'm living near the city and it's cool, and you know. But then after a while, it actually didn't take very long for me to feel so disconnected from nature, because we didn't really have like this little cove of greenery or any sort of like nice little area. There was like a trail like 15 minutes from our house, but it wasn't something that I could like just go outside and enjoy nature before I had to go to work or something, you know. And I'm not trying to make an excuse, you know what I mean? I'm just saying that I appreciate here because I can just walk outside and see the birds. It's so pretty. I love the earth. Also, if you're watching, like, I'm so glad you're here. You're contributing to my dream of just being myself and making cute little videos. So thanks. So yeah, I think moving really has helped my mental health. I love my apartment and where we live, and my job is great, and it's just a really good chapter of my life. So I'm happy to be able to share it and document it. It's such a cute little area. I love the rain. Well, anyways, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video there, but yeah. I think it's just interesting how we live and how we created living spaces for people. I hope that our society goes back to communal living soon. I hope that we start rebelling against the norm and buying some land and building a commune. More people do it. It's how we should live. It's much healthier that way too, I think. So yeah, thanks for listening.